Zelda and NES. Did you play The Great Gatsby NES?
I did not play it.
I played it through to completion.
Level 3 is really hard. I can't get past it.
Use a controller.
That's probably what I should do.
Use a controller with joy to key. I didn't even try with the keyboard.
I was on the keyboard.
Yeah. You should absolutely beat it. It's but you saw the cutscene at the end of level 1. Yes. Okay.
Anyway.
Today in retro news,
Yeah, so
Zelda.
I guess we're done. I guess we're done.
The conclusion here is that Newtopia was better than Zelda 1.
What? But look, I feel like, we're here to talk about Zelda. That phone is great.
Yeah, hang on a second.
We're just too popular.
Sorry, we're done.
We're just too popular.
All right.
I turned off the ringer.
Okay. Okay, now the ringer's off, so we can talk for a few more minutes.
But it's
and wrap
cool.
this up.
We got to hear the thoughts of lots of the listeners, and obviously people.
No one doubled up on questions,
right? And everybody feels very strongly. And I like the guys who would call them, bring back these memories of their childhood, because that's where Zelda really touched me. I was 8 years old, or 7 or 8, when I got Legend of Zelda.
I feel like we've done a disservice to Zelda by making this only half an hour. Maybe we'll have to do another one of these. Maybe we'll have to do another one every week or something. I don't know. Maybe not about Zelda, but
specifically, I wonder. When I finished Legend of Zelda First Quest, I remember thinking I had never played a game of that depth and magnitude and complexity, and that there was more for me to play as a kid. I just was blown away. I still remember the day I did it and how excited I was.
I remember when I beat the first quest of Zelda, my mom made me go out and mow the lawn. So that wasn't really the triumphant conclusion that I'd hoped for. But I did, jump right into the second quest, and it took me 2 months to beat Zelda, and it took me about, I don't know, 5 or 6 days to beat the second quest. Because, once I got my head around how the game concepts work, it was a game that was something genuinely new. I had never played a game like that. No one had ever played a game like that, because it distilled a lot of concepts that you saw in PC games.
Right, and I'd played, but it was Ultima. I knew what a hardcore RPG was,
right?
And I liked this better. I thought it was
it was basically a more sophisticated, more advanced version of adventure, which also took kind of PC RPGs, but made those incredibly simple because it had a stick and a button to work with. Whereas Zelda had, the D-pad and 4 buttons and a much more sophisticated system. Yeah. It had the ability to scroll more easily, and you had persistent memory and things like that. So it could be this big, massive game, and it was really a landmark. And I feel like Zelda is kind of dismissed unfairly by people who didn't experience it in 1987, but back then it was really amazing. And Nintendo sold it on how vast it was and how it was the never-ending adventure from Nintendo.
Right, and we all joke about the commercial, levers, Tektites, but it was a weird commercial. I remember as a kid, it was wow, what is that even about? What is he talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I think if they had, pitched the game as it was, on its own merits, I wouldn't have grasped it. I would have been like, what?
Right. But, that was the thing people would talk about on the playground. It's oh, man, Zelda, did you hear about this? Did you bomb that wall? Did you burn that bush?
The dude who figured out how to get through the Lost Woods was our hero for a week. And the guy who figured out how to get through the Lost Hills. Yeah. He was amazing. We all picked him up and carried him on our shoulders around the playground.
And I think another testament to the power of Zelda is how hard it was to accurately, try to copy it. And we talk about Utopia, we talk about Hydlide or
Alundra,
or even these days, it finally took something Darksiders is probably the best Ocarina of Time clone we've seen. It took 10 years for that. As much as it seems like a formula, and the Nintendo is just doing the same thing over and over again, it isn't that easy to do it well.
Clearly,
the design of the dungeons, the balance of the special weapons you get, the bosses.
But the games that were kind of inspired by Zelda and sort of spin off in their own direction, Quintet's Soul Blazer is one of my favorites from the 16-bit era. Secret of Mana basically added Final Fantasy depth and leveling and things like that, and multiplayer. And that's glitchy, but still an amazingly fun game. Those games are even from Software's 3D Dot Game Heroes, which is kind of goofy and a little superficial, but it's still a lot of fun.
Yep.
There's something very intrinsically addictive about the Zelda style, and I really do love a well-made game in that style.
And for me, as much as Mario is the reason we're all here, if I had to choose between Mario and Zelda, if only one could exist, I would choose Zelda personally. It's a tough choice.
Man, I cannot make that decision on the air. No.
It's Sophie's choice. It really is.
It is. Because the jumping in Mario is maybe more important than the depth of Zelda, but I like depth.
Anyway, we want to keep this short and sweet. We all have work to do. Yes. And so this is it for this experimental, bizarre episode of Retronauts. Thanks everyone for listening, and thanks for those of you who called in.
Yeah, that went great. I was very surprised.
I'm stunned. Yeah. We'll have to do this again frequently, I think. And Shane, thanks for stopping in.
Yeah, I'll be back during GDC.
Okay, well, maybe we'll do an episode then and make you sit in on it or something. I don't know.
All right, cool.
All right, that's it.
Thanks.
Zelda 25, way to go.